Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 162 of the Cognitive Podcast. And let me tell you, this episode is what I can only call not our average Christmas. It has been hilarious and crazy, and yet kind of fun in its own strange way. I think this is the podcast about adaptability, and I'm happy to say that we apparently score very highly on that scale as a family. Your comments are welcome, so please feel free to comment right in the show notes at Cognitive Podcast. Don't forget the K in Cognitive. .blogspot.com, or you can comment in the discussion group on Ravelry. Happy Christmas, folks, and by the time you hear this, it won't quite be New Year's, but Happy New Year. In the warm thanks department, well, here's where I spill the beans. I want to thank all the kind people who have been sending supportive messages during my COVID blitz. And I also want to send my love to Joylyn, who's going through a tough time, and we love you, and you're a long-term follower. I deeply appreciate your loyalty, and I got all my fingers and toes crossed for you and your family, so hang in there, beloved, my knit sister. In the meantime, let me tell you, moving on, that the Cognitive Fiber Retreat 10 is September 28th, 2024, at the Marriott, the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia. And all the information can be found in that link in the show notes, very close to the top. It will take you to the information thread on Ravelry, which is quite the living creature at this point, let me tell you. In the meantime, I am recording this at 7 p.m. on December 27th, 2023, for those of you who cannot help but ask. And you're probably wondering, hey, Gemma, here on December 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m., what is on your hooks and needles? Well, there's some very pleasing news there. I did finish the beautiful, if I do say so myself, Vineyard Cow. It is in silk and silk blend, and I believe all of it at some point or another was dyed by B myself, who no longer dyes. And this cow is exactly why I miss her. It is, I believe, it was two different sections of the bat, and then one of them is blended with something else, and I'm darned if I can remember what. So I think one was pure silk, and one was a silk mix with probably wool, knowing me. But you can see I love them. That is entirely hand-spun by yours truly. And I believe it was double-plied. I don't believe I chain-plied it. And I'm really happy with the way this came out. These are perfectly my colors, as you can see by the smug expressions on my face in those pictures. Meanwhile, you may remember the two half socks that I knit at the Evolution of Psychotherapy conference. Well, there's the first one finished. That's what they look like. I rather like that they've come out red and blue, like the colors of my alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania. Those are pretty much the pen colors, the shades and everything. It's really like a darker blue and maroon. As we speak, I'm probably about halfway down the foot, having done the leg of the second sock. So that one should be finished tidily very, very soon. In progress, well, the stash toss currently, thanks to these finished things, is at 38 skeins in versus 84 skeins out as we gallop towards the end of the count for 2023. Very exciting. So it looks like I'm going to net about 50 out. I would really like to have netted more than that, and I have learned why I didn't. Some of it was donations. At CFR 23, a lot of people gave me yarn, which I kind of love and hate, if you know what I mean, because I want to empty my stash, but at the same time, I'll find ways to use it. And also, I found out that when I'm working on a project, if I think I'm going to play yarn chicken, I panic and buy all sorts of pseudo-matching colors. That was an important lesson this year. Fortunately, they're all going to go into color work on sweaters, I do believe. Meanwhile, speaking of sweaters, the Romeo sweaters, I think I said in the last episode, I have divided for the sleeves, so that's very happy. To be honest, I haven't touched it in a few days. In fact, I don't think I touched it since the week of COVID that came between Evolution and Romeo. I can't even tell you because my memory of that time is faint. Nonetheless, it is sitting here next to me in all its beauty and it is quite beautiful. So hopefully I will get onto that. But we are now down to the popcorn knitting on the Romeo sweater for 2023. And I still have a link to the Knitting a Folded Neckline, which is a video from Biscotti Yarns. It was very, very helpful. Meanwhile, I have not touched the sock yarn cows. I believe it's number 3 and number 4 from CFR 23. They're both fairly close to completion. They are just this sort of thing you pick up while you're between patients, so to speak, in my job. I'm not worried about them. The Superstition sweater, I have a picture of me standing there with sleeve number 1. I believe it's looks like it's the left sleeve on that. I thought it was the right sleeve. Goes to show. At any rate, it's very near completion in that picture. But I'm actually finished the first sleeve. And I'm not quite to the elbow on the second sleeve. And that's really where I've been putting my time. That and also the Evolution socks. Because they've been the handiest. They've been around me. And I really, really want to be done with that Superstition sweater. As you can see, it fits exactly the way I would like it to. It's a very comfortable fit. Loving that pattern. I like everything about it. I do wish I'd done the cats a little more high contrast in the lighter pink instead of the darker pink, but it still looks quite good, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not doing anything fancy with the sleeves. I have plenty of that beautiful gray yarn. It's a very, very old Cascade, and by very old, I mean, probably like 2009. So I'm happy just to be getting that out of the stash and moving on to my other sweaters worth of yarn because I've got a lot of Malabrigo and some fantastic Lisa Souza to work with, among other things, to do sweaters. So I'm just happy I'm moving out old stash there, as well as making a sweater I truly love, and I finally have a Halloween sweater. Although, I'm always tempted to do the ones with bright orange pumpkins around the neckline, and that could happen. I wouldn't rule it out. But anyway, I'm working on the Superstition right now. Not much else. I've got the books of motifs that I'm using in all of these colorwork sweaters. And I also have a helpful video from Pearl Soho on doing the German short rows at the neckline, because that is a really nice way to increase the neckline without ever knitting flat. Why you would want to avoid knitting flat, I'm not quite sure, but I'm really happy I did it on this sweater and on the Llama Love sweater. Certainly it's a new trick for me. Meanwhile, no love on any of my embroidery, including the Pennsylvania Dutch. Dizzy Blondes, no love there. I think I'm knitting up a lot of my hand spun before I add to this stash, to be completely honest. Although I'm really craving getting back to it. It was nice to sort of sample my little nano wheel at CFR 23, and I really would enjoy getting back to it. So that takes us on to a strategy. And we are on the holiday strategy. And now, of course, as I record this, we are in Romule. That is what the Norwegians call that time between Christmas and New Year's. And I keep seeing all these memes on social media about how everybody is now tired and confused. Yes, that's probably why the Norwegians just don't even go to work during this period. And I decided in, I believe, 2018 to honor Romule. Now, I had to work it in 2019. Was it 2019? Anyway, I said no more of this. And so I took it off certainly last year in 22, and I'm taking it off again this year in 23. And I already have the time saved up to take it off in 24. And I have to say, to do that, I exhausted myself by taking no vacation days between January 1st of 2023 and December 25th. I hope I never do that again. here I am exhausted at Romeo, like everybody else, according to all these memes. So, what do you do with this time off? Well, first of all, a lot of you have the kids at home or the grandkids. And if you're a grandparent, thank you for taking the grandkids in at this time of year, because and I know the parents need to rest at this point, particularly if they're both working. And if you have kids in the house, and I do, I have a 17-year-old, of course you have to keep Junior kind of occupied as well. So what do you do in these tiring days? First, you use up all those games that everybody got for Christmas. That it's time to get the kids to learn how to play the games. A great way to do this is to start reaching out to people. So back in the good old days when I was being raised by Italians, we had lots of open houses at this time of year. Everybody was home, and you just had everybody going to everybody's house and playing games. So one of the strategies I would tell you for Romeo is it's time to just be relaxed and to reach out and to have laid-back kind of activities. Going places together, sure, now isn't the worst time to go to Disney if you happen to be near one, which I feel like everybody is these days. I'm sorry anybody in Arkansas who resents that comment. Of course, if you're in the south of Arkansas, you're not that far from Orlando at any rate. But you can also do a lot of things at home. It's time to have just very genteel open houses. You can go to your neighbors' homes and put little notes in their mailbox that Wednesday night you're having an open house. And just have people come over and put out simple stuff, little nibblies. Pour chips into a fancy dish. You know what I'm saying? And just have a big urn of coffee or tea or cold water with fruit infusions, whatever you want. But this is a time to meet your neighbors and have just sort of low-key, gracious, easygoing sorts of events. And that means you can have everybody over for a football game or a whatever game if you want. Everybody over for a common activity so people have something to do instead of simply mingling. You can keep them busy. Okay, sure. You want to be the DM and host a dungeon game? Sure, why not? But these are the times to do that. This is also the time to check in on everybody you know at a distance, because you have an excuse now. Those people you have an awkward relationship with, if you want to, you can just send them the family letter. It's very easy to reach out this time of year. People believe that other people are doing this, and so it can be very low-key and very friendly. The other thing that I'm going to recommend you do in Romeo is refresh everything. Those of you who celebrate Diwali, you already did this. That's kind of part of Diwali, but the rest of us kind of slack on that one. That before the new year rolls in, why not refresh your house? So I have to say, my husband was the one who had this idea to begin with. I woke up in the middle of my fever-induced haze from COVID and found my son was scrubbing down all the walls. And I thought, well, that's nice. No, it's not nice. It's insane. Our walls are mostly white, and the house looks amazing. He did the baseboards. He did the walls. I thought, well, we really should repaint them, not just scrub them. No, scrubbing. It was good. And it also got them into the corners, and that got out any kind of dust or cobwebs. Very, very nice. In the meantime, you can do things like go through one drawer every day. Just one drawer. Empty everything out of it. Don't look at it, just empty it onto the floor, and then pick each piece up and refold it and determine, do I want this? And so you can have the one that goes right back into the drawer. You can have the one that goes into your charity pile, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Or you can have the one that even the dog won't accept. You can use it as a rag or throw it out. The important thing is, this is a good time to just go through your closets a little bit at a time. And just take stuff out you're not using. If you're going through your closet, another good thing to do is this is the time of year. Turn all the hangers backwards. Why am I saying that? Because when you use something, you will take the hanger out, take the dress off it, and turn the hanger forwards. And put your dress or your pants or whatever back on that hanger. What's that going to do? A year from now, it's going to show you what did I wear this year. And the stuff you're not wearing, the hanger, will still be backwards. This is an old trick, and I really like this. And so you can go through next year and just get rid of things on backward hangers. Just realize no matter how much you like them, you're not using them. And that's just taking up space that could be used for other things. And you can do the one drawer at a time thing that I'm doing. One year I went through one shelf at a time. We have a lot of hutches in our house. I love hutches. We have 3 of them. And I just put pieces of lace because I also love handmade lace. And so I went through and I cleaned each shelf and I hand washed and pressed and starched the lace. Boy, that made a big difference. That still looks good, and it's been something like 4 years or 5 years since I last did that. Now, I occasionally go through and dust and shake out dust. Don't get too grossed out there. The point is, you can do one shelf a day, or one drawer a day, or maybe just turn all your hangers around. Or if you go through your closet for what's old, maybe you just go through 10 items a day or 20 items a day and say, am I wearing this? And then put a hanger backwards as a marker and move on the next day. Okay, so a little bit every day is how you want to do this. Now, what am I going to do with all those things I found I want to get rid of? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, because I think a lot of us have forgotten these resources. It first occurred in the quarantine in 2020. And the one I want to tell you about is all one word, givebackbox.com. The link is in the show notes. cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com. You know that. Okay, givebackbox.com set up this deal where you could take all those boxes from commercial places like Amazon, or in my case, Wild Alaska, which is where we get our monthly salmon, or Wild Pastures, which is where we get our monthly box of meat. Okay, you take those commercial boxes and you put old clothes in them that you don't want. Not shoes, I believe, just clothing. I'm not sure. You need to go to their website. 1 or 2 of them will actually take kitchenware and such, but as far as I know, it's clothing. So you take a commercial box, you tape up the sides to reinforce it, then you load it with your clothes, then you tape it shut. Then you go to givebackbox.com. There's a number of things that can happen there. Number 1, you can look up a local drop-off location, and this is free. In my area, it's a department store chain known as Kohl's, K-O-H-L-S. And if you go to the website link from givebackbox.com for Kohl's drop-off, they will immediately email you a QR code. So you take your box sealed up to Kohl's, you show them the QR code, they can scan it, they will take your box. I don't know if there's a limit there. So far, I'm going to try 1 per day, but I'm very excited about this. It is simply give your clothes to a good cause. What I like about givebackbox.com, they're trying to avoid putting fabric in landfills. So they will look for ways to recycle this as well. You can also take your clothes to a local church charity that collects, Goodwill. All of these things are good things. The other thing is planetaid.com. And that's all one word, planetaid, and then .com. Planetaid.com is very devoted to keeping things out of the landfill. It's mostly an East Coast thing. So on the East Coast, you can do exactly what I just said with Give Back Box. You can find a drop-off location and just donate for free. But if you want to mail stuff to planetaid.com, they will charge you $20 and then give you a personalized label to print and put on your package. Then you take it to the USPS. USPS, the post office, understands that this has been paid for, and they will take it in the mail. So you are giving a $20 donation to Planet Aid. Why do I like that? Because Planet Aid uses that donation to locate resources, and they will make sure, they will guarantee that your stuff is not going into a landfill. So I have the link for planetaid.com as well in the show notes. There is a donation there, but it goes to a pretty good cause. And so I like both of these, and these are great ways to get rid of those extra clothes. Why am I not just running to local stuff? Because in the quarantine, our local resources became filled. Apparently in the quarantine, people all decided to empty out their closets and their drawers and such. And so local Goodwill stopped taking things. I have not checked lately to see if they're accepting again. But Give Back Box certainly still is. I looked at all the links. It's good to go. How are we doing in the fluffy books? Well, to be honest, I haven't really done anything special there. I'm still working my way through Diane Freeman's Lady Harley books. I have the link to the Newlyweds Guide in there. And those are just really nice for listening at night. Sister Boniface, to be honest, I haven't watched TV in over a week because I was just too tired to do it. So I started listening to the Lady Harley or Countess of Harley series that I have linked there by Diane Freeman. I started listening to those again while knitting. I just didn't have the bandwidth, believe it or not, to watch TV. So let's get on to something I really like since, the fluffy books are just a little boring today. There you can see a picture of my trusty new Lenru Bluetooth speaker. This is a cordless speaker. It's easy enough to recharge. It uses USB-C. And I really didn't expect to love this the way I do. I got it on a Prime Day sale for something idiotic like $18. It's cute, it's pretty, it's pink. What's not to love? It goes with my nice rose gold phone in its rose gold case. Well, I'll tell you, I took it with me to Evolution. And I just loved it. I could put it in the bathroom without worrying about my phone falling in the bathtub. I have hooked it to the Bluetooth in my cell phone. And so I will carry it around the house when I want to leave the phone on a charger to listen to things. It's just that easy. It works very easily. It's very attractive. It was very inexpensive. The Bluetooth has been good and very reliable. I've used it all over the house. It is really nice to have a good portable Bluetooth speaker. Again, the sound quality is okay. It's not going to set any records, but it certainly works for listening to novels on tape. Put a lid on it. Well, because of COVID, I realized that I may not have been tasting some of the teas in the Plum Deluxe Advent Calendar, which is hardly fair, and yet I remember them all, with one or two exceptions, as very, very good. I have allergies. I'm allergic to lavender and to eucalyptus, and I also have to admit to alfalfa or Timothy leaf. Yes, kids, I have owned camelids and a pony for many years, and I'm allergic to what they eat. So I only lost one tea in this whole thing, and it was because it had, I believe, alfalfa leaf in it. Apparently oat leaf and alfalfa leaf are quite good for you in tea, but not for yours truly. Actually, I'm forgetting one. I believe it was day 18 had lavender in it, and it made my throat dry out and burn. However, I may have been getting COVID at that point. Who really knows? But the point is, I only lost 2 to my allergies out of 25. That's really pretty good. I don't think I would have done any better with the black tea. I'm deeply, deeply grateful that I got the herbal kit this time, because I was drinking a lot of it when I was at Evolution, and I would have been up all night if I'd gotten the black teas. So today I'm reviewing days 6 and 7. Day 6 is Wise Winter Herbal, and this was a green rooibos, holy basil, and peppermint. This one had a lively scent of basil to it, and I really like this one. It's a horse of a different color. It just is not your average herbal tea. It's a bit spicy, but it's spicy without orange being added into it. It's really kind of a nice way to get spiciness, and the scent is very, very nice. So it's a kind of wake-up herbal. It's a really pleasant one, though. I do hope they continue it. Day 7 was another winner, because this had such a strong flavor of citrus. And this was the Pineapple Pop Herbal. And it's very, very well named. Very, very strong citrus flavors in this. Just a nice wake-up tea. This one would also be nice if you're not feeling well. I think it would give you that sense that you're getting some kind of rejuvenation herbal. It's just a very nice one. And this is the Pineapple Pop Herbal. So here we are. More than 20 minutes in, and it's time for the blather. I got COVID. Oh man, I got COVID. It was really funny. That's what everybody kept saying is, wow, you have really got COVID. So how did I know, you ask? Well, I came home from Evolution, and I took the train home on Sunday, and I'm very, very grateful I didn't go to the conference, because I'm pretty sure I was starting to get symptomatic there. Was I stupid? Yes. I should have worn my N95s on the train in and all around that conference, because there's a big resurgence of COVID here right now in Southern California. And I thought, nobody else is wearing a mask. I mean, seriously, you'd see maybe 2-3 people. And I kept saying, well, they probably have cancer or they have some illness or they're getting chemotherapy. Okay, I should have worn the mask. The weird thing is you don't know till you know. So I have not seen anybody else I know who went to Evolution who got COVID, but I haven't. Point is, I wasn't feeling quite right Sunday, but I had had that lavender tea, well, the stuff that had lavender in it. And I thought, well, my throat is just messed up because of the lavender tea. Maybe. Who really knows? At any rate, Sunday I caught the bus, and I really spent my day just packing up things and taking an easy time getting out of the Sheraton and getting down to the bus station. Then I was stuck there for a while, and I was stuck at the Arctic station, which is where the bus takes you to catch the train, which is very, very nice. And I was waiting around on the train, and then I had 5 minutes between trains. That was amazing that I even made it, but I wanted to get home earlier. Then I was all alone at the train station, waiting for the boys. Anyway, we went out for sushi, and I was feeling okay, just very worn out. And I went to bed that night and slept like the dead, really, really hard, and thought, Monday I got up and I just wasn't right. And I started seeing patients, and I just wasn't right. And I thought, I'm just coming down. Maybe I'm just really, really tired from Evolution. Tuesday, I knew I was sick. I thought I just had a cold. No surprise, I would catch a cold with all that traveling. And Tuesday, just for the heck of it, I had a COVID test sitting on my desk. At lunch between patients, I tested myself with this expired test. I'm not kidding you. It went red immediately. It didn't wait 15 minutes. It didn't wait 2 minutes. The minute I stuck the drop of the sample in that thing, the bar went red. I thought, this can't be happening. So I told my husband. He said, well, you should go to a doctor. I said, grump, grump, I'm tired, grump, grump. Had a terrible night Tuesday. Couldn't breathe when I laid down. Wednesday, I saw my patients. My husband said, you have to be kidding. I called my doctor. She didn't really help. One doctor in her practice tried hard. I have to give him credit. I went off to the urgent care, and they tested me. And the nurse came in and said, wow, you really have COVID, which leads me to believe that their test went red right away, too. Doctor left me for last. I think I may have said this in episode 161 because he didn't want me to infect him and then infect other patients. And I went home and had COVID. So what did I do about it? I saw patients. There really was nothing I could do. I had canceled them the previous week for Evolution on Thursday and Friday. I wasn't willing to do that again, so I saw patients. I don't know what kind of work I did. My notes seemed coherent. I know I was very focused on the patients I knew to be seriously ill. I sort of saved my energy, but I have to say it's a good thing I have a bunch of wonderful people on Friday because I think I was half-baked the whole time. Meanwhile, I started taking Paxlovid. That stuff is a flipping miracle. I took 1 dose Wednesday night, fell asleep at midnight because I was just too revved up, woke up at 2 a.m. and said, good Lord, I feel normal. And that's when I realized I had been fairly sick because I felt so good in the middle of the night, Wednesday night. So I started on the Paxlovid. I believe my last dose was Christmas morning. Anyway, I never quite felt right on Paxlovid. It exhausted me. And I mean exhausted. I mean, I would walk from the main bedroom down the hall to my little office here and feel like I was wiped out. I really couldn't do anything but sit in a chair and see patients. The reason I saw patients was I just said, why not? I mean, I can't move. And if I don't get up and move around, I was really too tired to knit most of the time. And I thought, what am I going to do all these hours except sit here and meditate on death and COVID? So I saw patients. I made money. Everybody was pretty good about it. I did reach out to a workmate who I'm really looking forward to getting to know better because we had a staff meeting in the middle of this, and I just said, I feel like nobody talks to me. And God bless this woman. She reached out and said, I would love to talk to you. You sound like you're so experienced. I want to know about these different types of work that you've done. So it was a strangely good week, but I don't remember much of it. I was just exhausted. This is what COVID does to my memory. I have short-term memory, but not long-term memory. So I know I was working okay last week, but frankly, I have to tell you, and I think there's a picture of me just sitting in my bedroom. I didn't even leave. I was quarantined in the back bedroom suite. Bless my husband and son. My husband was just amazing about this. He said, you're in quarantine. You can use your office and you can use the back suite, but you got to give the rest of the house to us. I more than wanted to do that. I was afraid to touch anything that they were having contact with. And I was back there seeing a patient. I look up and my husband, between patients, fortunately, had delivered a big coffee and tea setup and set it up for me in the back bathroom. So suddenly I had the hot water from the Keurig and a bunch of my teas and Swerve and cups and spoons and tea towels and coffee and cocoa. It was unreal. I was so grateful I could have wept. And also he put my keto chow back there so I could have instant meals when I needed them, the keto shakes. Short of a refrigerator, no regrets there. It was superb. And I just spent that whole week between Evolution and Romule in that suite, eating Paxlovid and drinking tea and as much liquid as I could get because I was wildly thirsty, barely able to move. I did some knitting, as you can tell. And there is a picture there. You can see my knees in one of my beautiful flannel skirts. All I wanted to do was wear flannel skirts and heavy sweaters and slippers and knitted socks and leggings. And I'm sitting back there. You can see my suitcase from Evolution is still on the side there. Looking at the towel rack, that coffin-shaped thing next to the big lamp there that's on the floor. And in the background, you can see the bathroom all lighted up, and you can even see the red of the Keurig. Oh my gosh, it was so great. I just told myself I am back in the suite at the Sheraton with much better room service. He brought me food. He was a star. I cannot believe how good he was. Beloved son did not get sick. You can see him there in front of his finished tree. I had to take a picture of him. You see a big red box on its side there. It's actually wearing a red tablecloth. Those are the Christmas presents, which I will come back to. And of course, a box my friend, the trusty Paxlovid. So there we go. And just when I was thinking, well, this is tough, but we can get through it, my husband tested positive for COVID on the 23rd. I tested on the 19th, I believe. So he went into isolation, but he never had symptoms. He actually seemed to feel perfectly normal. He started on Paxlovid, which he is still taking as of today. Christmas morning, I got up and I knew I was exhausted, but I felt like I was not very symptomatic. I tested negative. My husband tested negative today on the 27th. So we are officially COVID-free. We're having a hard time even hugging and kissing, though. We're still just nervous. It's really kind of embarrassing. So it was me and Minerva for a long time, for 5 days back there, 5 or 6 days. You can see, too, I did hard boil some eggs right after I got home from Evolution. Boy, am I glad of that, because between that and the protein shakes from the keto chow, I always had something to eat, but there was more. My husband, when I found out I had to be quarantined, I was so sad. My husband walked in, and you can see Minerva sitting above them in one picture. He walked in and he handed me all the chocolate bars. They are keto chocolate that he had put in my Christmas stocking. And he said, sick people get chocolate. And then he refilled the stocking. I could weep. So it was me and Minerva. Minerva became my COVID buddy. No surprise there. You can see her checking out the tea in the octopus mug there. It was me and Minerva hanging out together, having a COVID Romule, and the last week of work after Evolution. Talk about strange, but life didn't stop. I was very tired, but I was determined to get things done over Romule, although I admitted I had to go very, very slowly. So I wasn't able to fill my husband's stocking. I tried to order things online, and I couldn't, from Whole Foods through Amazon. And they just told me they weren't going to deliver it. Then they told me they had delivered it. I went to them and said, you didn't deliver anything. They refunded me immediately. So I was not able to fill his stocking. And that's where you should take a good look at the picture. You can see it in my son and the Christmas tree, but also the Christmas and the dog beds picture. My husband and my son decided that they wanted dog beds for humans. So my husband said that was all he wanted. I couldn't think of anything else he wanted, so I got him the original, which was very expensive, I have to tell you. I got my son a half-priced knockoff, which seems really quite good. I don't think it's as good as the original, but it is quite good. And there was a picture of him lying in it there on Christmas morning. So that big box covered in a red tablecloth, that's my husband's. When you get these things, you do have to give them 24 hours to air out and inflate because they've been compressed to get into those boxes. Believe me, they're large. Both of them are almost 6 feet tall. And they're just very, very comfortable. So they got that. Christmas morning, I was asymptomatic. I didn't know it. I hadn't taken the test yet. And I just came out and said, we are doing Christmas even if we have to socially distance. My son did not get COVID as far as we can tell. He is just fine. He has some seasonal allergies. The dryness here, the lack of humidity gets to him. And he and my husband and I all cough a bit from that. But we had a perfectly lovely Christmas morning. We just didn't have a Christmas feast. However, you can see there's a picture in which it's very clear Minerva is lying on our carved oriental rug with her face away from the camera. And you can see part of my Christmas. My Christmas was fabulous. Frankly, most of it was really good Plum Deluxe tea and really good Lily's chocolate. And then my husband got me a stand for my tablets, which I have not yet integrated into the study. But to be honest, as I sit here looking around, I realize I am going to, that it will go quite well in here. And also tonight, he gave me a gift he had forgotten, which I really, really wanted, and I'm so happy about it, and I'll let you know about it. I'll review it in a future episode. It is a little electric griddle, but it has silicone cups in which you can make egg bites, and it's got a lovely QR code you scan to get to the recipes and register your machine. So I'm pretty excited about that. That is the thing I really, really wanted, and I got it, I have to say. So that was good. And in the meantime, what else happened? Well, I went into mode daily house projects. I had planned to do this, and I had been quietly buying things on Prime Days on Amazon to promote this, to promote doing little things around the house that would just make things better. My husband has a habit that has weirded me out for 30-something years. He kind of reads my mind. Hence, I woke up my first day of Romuel and my son was scrubbing walls. He's done by now, by the way, and they look amazing, as I've said. So he started working on that too without telling me. And I was too tired to do much. So I have to admit, the first thing I did was a day of gift wrapping because I hadn't wrapped any gifts. That's how I knew I was getting sick, because I always wrap gifts. From the minute I get them, I wrap one a day because I hate doing it. And I wrap gifts. Well, I wrapped them this year. I was so tired by the time I finished an afternoon of gift wrapping. You can see Minerva helping. She is sitting on one of the gift wraps. It is gold and black plaid, so of course it complements her coat color beautifully, which I'm sure is why she's sitting on it. And so I did that one day. The next day, I got these wonderful little puck lights back on Black Friday. Puck means they are puck-shaped. They look like hockey pucks. These things are smart as heck. First of all, I didn't really want to tape things to the underside of the cabinet or screw them into the cabinet. Okay, piece of tape that is very strong on one side, strong magnet on the other, magnet on the bottom of the puck light, which means someday I can probably locate more tape like this if I want to relocate them elsewhere. It means I can pull the puck light easily off the bottom of the cabinet because it's only on there by a magnet, not by tape, and change the battery. The batteries are AAAs. That is the one disappointment. They take 3 AAAs. You could use rechargeable batteries in there and get a battery recharger. I used to have one of those back in the 90s, and they went out of vogue, and I'm glad they're coming back. But another version of these has chargers that you can just plug into your USB. And I did not find those quite at this quality level, so I went for these. That would be the one thing I would change. You can see in the picture in the show notes, you can see our cabinets on the west side of the kitchen, and there's 3 of them there. And if you look, you can see the bright spots where they must be. And I love them because they came with a remote. The remote works on any of them individually. So I could put one in a closet, in the back of the house and use the remote with it, just like I can still use the remote on any in the front of the house. There were 6 of them. I think they're selling them now for about $30. I got them on sale, really money well spent. I put them under the cabinets in the kitchen. The remote, you just point it at it, and there's buttons all over it. There's 3 different light settings. And also on the puck itself, on the rim, there is a little button. You rub your finger across it, and it changes the quality of the light, or it turns the light on and off. All those things happen, or you can use the remote. So I turned those so that that little rough spot on the edge that shows you you're pressing the control is closest to the front. So really, if you don't have the remote, you just stick your hand up and rub along the rim, and it'll do what you need to do with the light. I walked my boys in to the kitchen on Christmas Eve, and I said, this is the first Christmas present, and I turned them on, and they both immediately went, that is great. It is. Our kitchen light, our main light, is fluorescent. It's currently burned out. My husband, for some reason I don't know, has not chosen to replace them for like the last 8 months. And rather than nag and carry on, I said, this is a good opportunity to brighten the dark spots in the kitchen, because the fluorescents are not really pleasant to have as overhead lights. If I ever redo the kitchen, those things are going away. But at any rate, these are very nice. They come 6 to a pack. And I haven't yet put the link in the show notes, but I probably will, because these are definitely something I really like. We're getting a lot of use out of these. It's nice not to light the whole big kitchen, to just light one little part at a time. There are plenty of other places in the house that I want to put these puck lights. These are a really great idea. I will probably continue to explore different variations on this, but I really like these things. And then there was the door curtain. Our back door is leaky. It doesn't fit the frame well. It really needs a redo. But in the meantime, every winter, my husband has gone to the good Minnesota habit of taping it up with heavy tape. Boy, is that ugly. So he actually did it again this year, and we did not remove it. But this year, I saw this recommended on some influencer or other. It is just a big curtain. It is heavily insulated. It has magnetic join in the middle of it. And we just put it over the whole door frame. My husband was going to put it on the outside, which they do show that in some pictures. And I said, you can't, because the dogs are going to tear and rip at it. It's got to be on the inside where the dogs aren't going to have contact with it. This makes a difference. Now, every year when he tapes that door shut, you can feel the difference. But this made even more of a difference. That our dining room is just very still and very warm now. This is one of those things you don't know you need. I'm in Southern California and I've got this. But remember, we don't have a really efficient home HVAC system. It's more for the air conditioning than for the heat. And so this really matters. Although I'd like to get that door renovated, it isn't happening for a while. So this is just a huge difference. And then I went out to the car and I put in seat blockers, because I went into my car and I was horrified. My husband and my son are running around in it under the front seat and the seat in front of where my son often sits when we're all in the car together. Unbelievable amounts of trash, stuff that had just fallen between the seats. It's hard to see in that picture, but if you look at that picture, you'll see the driver's seat and the seat blockers box is sitting on it. And if you look down towards the bottom, towards the right, you'll see the red flash that is the seatbelt catch. These are just rubber bumpers. You put the chair all the way back. You put this down over the seatbelt. It has a hole for that. And then you just push it down with both hands, and it is simply a blocker for the space between the seats, so things aren't sliding down between your seats. And I meanwhile detrashed the car this week. So these are all the little things. In the meantime, I did get a garage camera, a Ring video camera that I asked for. I'm concerned that this will not reach the house, that our Wi-Fi is not strong enough. However, I don't mind, because I want the people who come up to the house to see the camera. I believe I will feel better when they believe they are being filmed. So it is a security thing that may not work, but I'm just thrilled to have it. We do have a Wi-Fi extender in our garage. It's just not all that successful. And if you go online, you'll see Most of the Wi-Fi extenders are not that successful. And also I have lights that I bought, solar lights, and I also bought pre-made walkway cedar planks with steel reinforced PVC connectors. And hopefully I'm going to install those walkways and solar lights around them so that we have a better entry path into our front door, because our path is kind of overgrown by our various plants, and we're afraid we'll kill the plants if we cut them back too far. So I just said, let's make the walkway more wide and let's light the thing. Meanwhile, not much else. Queenie's been in the house a lot. She does well as long as Captain's not in the house. When Captain's in the house, she gets hysterical and playful and competitive with Captain. I have not been doing watercolors, and my son has just begun to take down the tree. He took the ornaments off it today. Not much else is happening, so let me tell you on the calendar, we are still in the midst of Rome Yule. As I record this, we're dead center on it on Wednesday. Oh, thank heavens I still have more, but I feel so much better. We are all over COVID. This has been the wildest Christmas, I have to say. We have also got a lovely prime rib that was supposed to be our Christmas feast. My husband has declared it will be the Saturday feast. And in the meantime, I have been cooking stuff, and I realized, yes, I don't have put a lid on it in this episode, and I should have, because I made a kind of bafo soup. But hopefully, I put the Advent calendar there. Okay, hopefully next episode I will tell you about the very good keto broccoli cheddar soup that has just worked out wonderfully in the crock pot. And right now that is out in the cool temps in the garage for the night, and it will come back onto the slow cooker tomorrow. So I have all day soup. Yarnopoly and Second Saturday Stitchers, two of our groups in the Santa Clarita Valley, they meet up on the second Saturday of each month. If you are within the sound of my voice in Canyon Country, the Joanne Darcy Library has no meeting right now, but they do meetings on the second and fourth Saturday at 9 a.m. at the Darcy Library. Those are pretty full up from what I hear. This may be where the original Yarnopoly and Second Saturday people came from, that they did a breakout group more local to themselves, because the Santa Clarita Valley is quite large. Meanwhile, CFR 10 is scheduled for September 28, 2024. It will be at the Courtyard by Marriott in Valencia, California. Minerva gets the last word. Well, you can see her there. I'm in my mask and I'm in my rocker, and she's on the floor. Actually, she may be on my knee. She's on my knee. She's being my COVID buddy. And you can also see a picture of her helping with the wrapping, because, of course, when you are wrapping, everybody needs 25 pounds of Big Cat to help with the project. Meanwhile, I continue to carry links to my favorite resources, local LYSs, well, that's kind of redundant, and all the places I get my cool extras like interesting machinery for knitting from Alpenglow, Birch & Cider for the custom leather tags, Raspberry Studios for the insanely wonderful chatelaines I can't live without, and so on and so forth. And my thanks to them, because they were the force behind the goodie bags at QFR 23. So there we go, folks. That is the Romule episode. Well, the first, because next week I'll be out of Romule when I record. Well, actually, I may not be if I record it Sunday night on the 31st. But anyway, this is one of the Romule episodes, and I'm happy to say we are past the COVID demon, and I am getting my energy back. One of the things I should have told you too, by the way, is I have been using all my leftover fabric scraps from all the skirts this year, and every day I am hacking them into 2.5-inch strips so that I do not waste that fabric. And so I will take a bit of leftovers, hack it as best I can into the 2.5-inch strips, and then any little bits left go into the trash. What does that mean? It means I'm getting ready for quilting, because if you sew, particularly if you can sew clothing, you certainly should know how to quilt, because quilting is so much easier than making clothing. So hopefully we will have a lot of exciting adventures in the new year, some sweaters and socks to finish, some quilts to make. I still have the makings for a few skirts that I would like to get through, and hopefully I will tell you about those projects in the next episode, and I will be further along in them. In the meantime, remember, we are a community, as I found out very painfully, that you must take care of your community and you must take care of yourself. So right now we have a resurgence of COVID. So, you want to think about, if you're in this region, putting on a mask when you go out there into a crowd. And it's not so wearisome. We have tons of extra masks left over that we never used, both cloth and N95s. And, if you're going to go out, stick a mask around your neck, is what I'm saying. And you're okay, but if you go into a crowd, put your mask on. You don't have to get COVID this year like silly Dr. Gemma. Also, I'm here to tell you, thank goodness I had the COVID shot. I am not sure that I got the shot for the latest variant. I got my shot just when they were introducing that one. That may have had something to do with the ferocity of the attack. At any rate, they're saying the latest variants are fairly weak compared to the original. I'd have to agree. I'm also here to tell you, if you can take Paxlovid, take it. It's a miracle drug. So in the meantime, remember, act like you're in a community. When you take care of the community, you are taking care of yourself. When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of the community. So if you have to quarantine, you quarantine. You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, everybody get all your shots and be really careful and make sure you're in good health and get all your meds and your prescriptions refilled and all that good stuff. Most of all, everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.